The Missouri Tigers get a 30-23 win over Oklahoma, a game that was 9-3 at the start of the fourth quarter, I want to say. Just both offenses not showing any signs of life in the first three quarters. And then last half or last quarter wasn't like they really came alive and were super efficient. I mean, Mizzou had some great plays, but not like Oklahoma was all out there either. Two turnovers that changed the game around. Mizzou moves on to 7-2 on the season. Joey Van Zummeren with Michael Sims here from Mizzou on us side. Michael, just your thoughts from this win with Drew Pine at quarterback.
If you're a college football fan, you're not going to find a more hectic, crazy, and entertaining football game than what we witnessed here today at Faurot Field. It had everything you could possibly want. There's so many people to give credit to for Missouri. You mentioned Drew Pine, and I think he had plenty of doubters heading into this one, and he probably had plenty of doubters heading into the third quarter of this game before the offense really opened up. I thought it was really interesting. Eli Drinkwitz mentioned post game that they set up the offense to where they throw the ball more in the second half, which I thought was a certainly an interesting tactic, but I guess it didn't not work. And yeah, Drew Pine got going a little bit and didn't turn the ball over, three touchdowns. Um, in that fourth quarter, I mean, you look at that pass to Luther Burden for 33 yards, and obviously that right corner end zone touchdown throw to Theo Weiss. You're not going to see a much better throw and catch than what you saw there. So obviously he deserves credit for leading this team to victory tonight. And then the defense as a whole, defensive backs didn't allow many big plays besides the trick pass from Taylor Tatum to Jackson Arnold, which is fascinating. And then really not much massive offensive production for Oklahoma outside of that. Defensive line was productive again. Zion Young obviously gonna go down as the hero for that scoop and score. But you look at Tristan Newson, you look at Corey Flagg, who had 14 tackles. I think
Yeah.
Tristan Newson had 10. Those are crazy stats. You can give credit to everybody. Dalen Carnell forced two fumbles. I believe Marvin Burks forced a fumble as well.
Mhm.
The list goes on and on defensively. I mean, really tonight this looked like one of the best defenses in the entire country with the number of turnovers they were able to force and pressure they put on Jackson Arnold and limiting the run game as they did.
Right. And obviously, the Oklahoma offense isn't the greatest offense in the SEC. They've had their struggles. Today, they were well fewer than they have been for most of the season, but again, they're not the best competition to line up against. But again, just the plays they made when they needed them most. And then again, just like against Auburn, when the Mizzou offense wasn't able to keep up, the Mizzou defense really kept them in this one here. And obviously, those big plays they made at the end. You mentioned, I think the ones that obviously, like you said, Zion Young. It's going to be the big name for scoring that touchdown. Tristan Newsom for forcing it. But I think Dalen Carnell and Corey Flagg both had hell of a games for the both of those two. Dalen Carnell just active in I think like every single big play I saw the fumble that Marvin Burks forced that set up Mizzou offense with really good field position. Dalen Carnell was in on that play with some really tight coverage. Dalen Carnell had a great game. Corey Flagg has just been I think I wouldn't hesitate to say the best player on this Mizzou defense all season long with just how active he is offensively. It was so interesting to see in the second half like you mentioned, Michael, this offense involved and take it a step up from what they did in the first half. And yeah, obviously the run game I think was really important to this, and Drinkwitz talked about this, and you could really see we talk so much about how the run game can help out the pass game. Sometimes I think it's a little bit too far-fetched from the outside to really understand it, but you could really see in this one how much easier that was making it. Rhythm, which is so intangible, you could really see that happening in real time in this one. You could see with Jamal Roberts, who had a great game too, and it's really unfortunate that he had that fumble right here at the end. And obviously, Zion Young made up for that. But really unfortunate for Jamal to have that fumble right here near then because he had such a great game. He really became the main feature back in this one. Nate Noel was active, but Marcus Carroll was announced as starter. Nate was kind of touch and go on when he was playing. So Jamal Roberts, kind of the more speedier option compared to Marcus Carroll. And Jamal Roberts, I mean, just so many dirty runs the Mizzou offense was able to stick to. And it's odd, with obviously it's a different product than Brady Cook, different formula and everything. But man, compared with the deep pass that Drew Pine had to Luther Burden on a 3rd and 16 to bring him down to the 10, and then the touchdown he had to Theo Weiss a few plays later, probably the best plays we've seen from this Mizzou offense all season long, throwaway and catch wise. I mean, just Michael, like, do you think there's anything from this offensive performance that Mizzou can take, even if it's a different quarterback, that they can take ahead?
I mean, maybe a little off topic. Uh, I think Drew Pine definitely earned some respect
Yeah,
from the Missouri fan base tonight. And who knows if we're ever going to see him play, as good as he did or, as be as clutch as he was tonight. Um, but it's another one of those things. We've seen, small glimmers of hope with Brady Cook, a quarterback with a deep ball here and there. When he comes back against Auburn, obviously that's, hurry up offense and hurry up defense, and that's a bit of a different scenario, but he's still able to advance the ball down the field. I don't know if that's the same case tonight, but it's not as if Pine was in a complete hurry up mode all
yeah.
night. Obviously, the Theo Weiss touchdown he is, and they get a little lucky with some penalties and stuff like that. But uh, obviously, it makes some big throws under pressure. A little bit of that hurry up offense, but they called a timeout, and Pine gets sacked right before he launches that one to Luther Burden. So that's not hurry up offense per se. I mean, he had the time and patience and poise to make that throw. So I think if we're gonna take anything away, it's just that it's there, right? There's glimmers of hope with whoever it is at quarterback, and Drew Pine now we know gives you a completely different look when he's in the game. Um, he's not the same improviser that Brady Cook is, obviously, even though he was able to make some
Yeah.
game-saving plays on his legs. I remember laughing at his design run in the red zone. It was just comical, but it worked. But yeah, I think if we're gonna take one thing away, it's a different look with Drew Pine at quarterback. But now there is tangible, physical proof that it's, there's hope there, there's ability there for Pine in the offense. Um, we've said all year that we just gotta get the ball in the hands of Luther Burden, in the hands
Hmm.
of a Marquise Johnson. Obviously, Mookie Cooper's out in the hands of Theo Weiss, and they're gonna do their thing. And that wasn't the case tonight. These were deep field routes where it wasn't much yards after catch. It was um, contested catches and things like that, which not necessarily usual, but if it works, it works. And I think, like I said, there's definitely some hope with Pine at quarterback in this Missouri offense.
Yeah, and even in that Alabama game, especially for as the offense just really struggled in that one, but there were still a few things in there. It's like you can, well, I mean, I guess just on paper, like you can win with what they had out there. It's not like Drew Pine showed off any of his great talents as to why they brought him over from Notre Dame. And he did throw, or from Arizona State, he did throw three interceptions that were all pretty bad. But you can win on paper with what they had. A veteran quarterback, Nate Noel's absence in Alabama really hurt them. But with Luther Burden, who can really make quarterback's job easy, same with Theo Weiss, it was just confusing as to why they couldn't unlock that. And I think we saw that in the second half here today. And there's going to be a lot to talk about off of this one. But as far as big picture view, this one is an interesting one for Missouri because we don't really know. Again, like playoffs still seem so far out of the picture now. And I don't even think it's worth it to really crunch the numbers because it's not like the NFL where we can say, all right, they need this, this, and this to happen because it's subjective to whoever ends up making the playoffs. I still think Missouri's best chance is everything going wrong at the top of the SEC and then making the SEC title game. But just as far as to get this one, I think if this was the best case scenario for them, honestly, I mean, sure, they could have had, score 56 with Drew Pine at quarterback. The defense looks great, then sure, that's probably better than for the resume. But man, you can't deny that they're entertaining and the fact that they're able to bounce back from this one. I mean, Michael, what's your main takeaway from this one for this team moving forward and where it positions
I
themselves?
mean, you want to talk about entertaining. This team and last year's team are exciting for
Yeah.
completely different reasons, and it almost gives you more respect for this roster, for how they've come together and have, shown their ability to win close games, even if it's not against the best opponents in the world. Um, Georgia lost tonight.
Yep.
They lost to Ole Miss. I don't know the score off the top of my head. I don't think either of us really had time to check scores from the college football universe today. I know Alabama beat LSU, so that's another team maybe at two or three losses, and now Georgia has, two losses. So I think from that standpoint, the top of the SEC just has to keep losing, and maybe there's some hope for Missouri to make the playoff. But even outside of it, this team still has a chance at finish with, 10 wins.
Right.
And I guess Vanderbilt is your best win, or if you beat South Carolina at South Carolina, that's going to look pretty good. And
Yeah.
Arkansas is not bad either, so they're going to have some quality wins there. Obviously, you want the two big ones on the road against Alabama and Texas A&M back, but I don't. It's too early to say with how this team has played and how the rest of the SEC is shaking
Right.
out if there's going to be hopes for a college football playoff spot or not. Um, but
Hey,
back to what I was saying though. This team is so much fun, and uh, I'm sure the fan base is gonna remember this for all the
yeah.
right or wrong reasons, and maybe have a fonder appreciation for the guys on this team because again, probably not the best team and not probably as good as last year, but um, finding a team that knows how to win gritty games like this is hard to come around.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you talk about Georgia and Ole Miss in that one, the problem for Missouri is, I mean, one, I think Ole Miss is a better team. I don't think a lot of people are going to argue that, but they don't have a game like that on their schedule. They had that with Alabama and Texas A&M, and they didn't show up for those at all. They don't really have a home game like that, unfortunately for them, and maybe they're just a bad team on the road. Theo, we said today, maybe there's he's starting to think there's some magic at Fro. And like you mentioned, Michael, there's been a lot of exciting games over here for the past 2 seasons, and this is just another one of those. And the next time we'll be here will be for Arkansas, November 30th, Black Friday, or yeah, Black Friday, or it's Saturday
I think
this
it's a
year
Saturday, yeah.
after Thanksgiving for the last home game of the season, and by then we'll know a lot more about this team's postseason fate. That's all we have for you here for today. Mizzou wins over Oklahoma in Week 11, 7-2 on the year. We hope you pay attention to the rest of our coverage on Missouri NSI.